Hey, Rayon, with so much time between your last game in Memphis, how fired up are you guys to get back at Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium and play South Florida?
Oh yeah, we're definitely excited. I mean, it's crazy that we had a bye week with a Thursday game. So like we've had like 16, 17 days or something like that without playing a game, but we definitely use that to our advantage. We prepared, we've done good. So I mean, we're really just excited to go back out there and give them a fight, get down and dirty and get to compete again. So
What's impressed you the most about this offense for USF that's really come to life this year with their young quarterback and all their weapons?
Yeah, so their offense is definitely interesting. I mean, they spread you all the way out. I mean, really abnormal splits. They have a pretty athletic quarterback that can scramble, make plays happen, and then they have a running back who can run, lower shoulder or get loose in space and stuff like that. So, I mean, definitely a good offense we'll be going up against, and I think it would be a good challenge. It'd be exciting, and we'll get to show what we know on Saturday.
And what's the biggest challenge playing against a team that plays tempo like they do, just getting on top of that ball and going?
Oh yeah, so it's definitely easy to like get tired and forget like certain tendencies and stuff like that the team like tends to do. But I would just say just getting lined up and getting our communications in and make sure everybody on the field knows their job and what they have to do and what tendencies we're looking for is what we'll have to do to compete against the offense that obviously runs an insane amount of tempo.
Thanks, Rayon.
Ian Birch.
Hey, Rayuan, really looking forward to the game. A lot has been talked about with you entering the transfer portal this summer. And I understand that you don't like to talk about it a ton, but it was really interesting talking to Coach Newberry about it and how he was telling us about it and how thrilled he was that you decided to stay. But would love to hear from you just kind of what made you stay? What did he say to you? What were the conversations you had that made you realize you wanted to stay at the Naval Academy?
I don't really think it was anything anyone said to me in particular. I would just say, like I said in one of the previous interviews, like it's just different here. We eat, sleep, breathe, everything together. It's a process. We all come in together, and then it's just different from any other environment. Like we truly are bonded. Like when they talk about the brotherhood, it's real. So that's something I definitely felt.
And is it something that you realized when you maybe took the visits, and then when you came back, you realized that this was the place that you wanted to be and have a career?
Yes, I would say a little bit of both. Like I already knew before that, but also just being able to go out definitely made me realize even more. So,
Coach told us that he had reached out to your parents. Do you know what he said to them, and kind of what did your parents? Did they weigh into you what they thought you should do?
They did.
Do they think that you should stay? You just, I guess you're the end of the decision was yours, I guess. So
yeah, definitely.
Great, thank you.
Wags. Wags, you there? He must have fallen off. Pete Medhurst.
Ray, you got a guy at quarterback this week. We talked about it with Coach yesterday, and I asked him whether, the word spy is cliche or it's real. You all as a defense have to account for a quarterback that is truly a dual threat this week. What kind of challenge does that present to the defense to make sure your eyes are always in the right place and not necessarily always on him?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, having an athletic quarterback is definitely a threat. Not only somebody that can throw the ball, but also make plays on the run. But for the most part, I would just say that we're more focused on what we need to do and what we're doing as opposed to them as an offense. Like, of course, you're gonna peek and see what they're doing, but it's all about us and like getting the tiny details and stuff like that together and knowing what we do and how we play. And so as long as we do that, we can pretty much go up against any offense.
Ray, is that one of the hardest things to do in football, though, is pay attention to the details and have all 11 guys on the field all at one time doing that?
I think so, but we tend to rehearse it a lot. You know, practices are intense and different things like that. So we definitely get a lot of practice with it. Obviously, we're not perfect, but that's something that we emphasize a lot. So I mean, just getting that would be good.
As a football player, this early season schedule has been incredibly choppy. How hard is it to get into a football rhythm? Because games are different from practice. I mean, you can simulate it all you want in practice, but how hard is it to get into a game rhythm when you're playing, then you're not, and then you're not playing for 16 days, and now at least you're going to have a situation where you get pretty much a whole month where you can go with a stretch right here. Is that difficult as a player?
I don't think personally that is difficult, but it is kind of weird. Like you said, like just like 16 days, like we have a bye week this week, then played in another bye week. But I mean, that's what our schedule is throwing at us. So that's what we have to do and be prepared for and be ready to go out and execute, no matter how the schedule is. So yeah.
Appreciate it, sir. Thank you.
Thanks.
Wags.
It was so weird. Every time I touched my screen, it cut me out of the meeting. Sorry about
that. That's okay. You're good.
Ray, looking at this team this week, I mean, obviously the success they had throwing the ball against Rice, and I'm sure you've seen the tape. It was kind of surprising because they hadn't really shown that much level of explosiveness, especially on the deep passing plays. How important is the pass defense going to be this Saturday?
Oh yeah, I think it's definitely going to be important because, like again, they have an athletic quarterback who can scramble around, and when he scrambles, not only is he looking around, but he's also looking to throw it and get some of his receivers open. So definitely have to stay sticky on the top of routes and play until we hit a whistle. But I would say from a pass defense, it had to be like every other game. Like especially us as DBs. Like we just try to focus on our keys and stuff like that, and basically just have a little bit more mind into it since we know routes might extend a little bit longer and stuff like that, but just stay on top of our game.
Coach Newberry was saying yesterday that a big emphasis was put on not giving up as many big pass plays, the explosive pass plays.
Mm-hmm.
He's pleased so far that you all have done a better job of keeping the ball in front of you. Why do you think that is the case? What do you think you all are doing better than maybe you did last year?
I think one of the biggest things is we're older with more experience, so that definitely helps. And then we have reps together, so not only are we older and have more experience, but we play together for like more time. We have more connections and different things like that. And then also we meet together, we communicate better. We're able to see where everybody on the back end sees and talk about it. So that's something that definitely helps as it goes to deep passes and just pass game in general.
Say it, Wags.
Well, one last question. I guess, talk about working with, you got two safeties who are kind of a little bit different. Mbidi is more of a, cover safety playing deep, whereas the coaches have said that Evan Gibbons he's good at run support, playing a little closer to the line of scrimmage. They have different roles. But they've been both playing fairly well. What's it like with, those two safeties?
I think it's good. I mean, obviously I enjoy playing with both of them. Obviously we have a few things to work on. I mean, all of us have different things to work on, but obviously we talk about those things. We work on it in practice. We watch film together. We do pretty much everything together. So, I mean, just being able to play with two different personalities, two different skill sets, play types, play abilities, and stuff like that is definitely fun. But at the end of the day, it's just fun to be out there and be able to play with your teammates and go ball.
Greg Swatek from Press Box. All righty, Scott Wyckoff.
Hey, Rayuan, what did Gilman mean to you going to school there and having the opportunities that you were afforded there?
Yeah, so that was definitely an interesting time. I would say when I first ended up going there, I didn't really know what it was. That was pretty much what my parents' decision. So I was just going there to start my high school career. But obviously, as I got to spend time there, I definitely started appreciating it, just with the connections and the knowledge and everything that I was learning, just a welcoming family and everything like that. Like, I can go back there anytime and be welcome, talk to anybody, anything I need to do. So I definitely make sure that connection was always strong. But yeah, it was a great opportunity and a great experience.
And how did it prepare you for the Naval Academy, both as a student and also as an athlete?
That's a tough question because the Naval Academy is just different. Like, it's hard to say that anything can prepare you for it. But I would say I did go through my share of adversity there, and just being able to persevere and get over that adversity helped in ways. But at the same time, Naval Academy it's just different. It's different.
And how are things going for your brother at Gilman right now?
He loves it. He's having a blast. He's in his senior year, going to Penn State next year. So, I mean, he's just enjoying his time in high school, little things like homecoming, prom, and stuff like that. He's cherishing those last moments. So it's cool.
And is it fun for you to kind of talk about your experiences and hear what he does at Gilman too?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Thanks a lot.
In.
Rand, we talk to a lot of guys every year and have been in your shoes where they thought maybe the Naval Academy wasn't the right place for them, and then ask them, what would you tell, maybe a plebe or somebody that's questioning whether they should stay? What would be your advice?
So I would definitely tell them that it's not easy. They're going to have to wake up and grind every day. But at the end of the day, it'll be worth it. Like, just seeing the growth that I've had since I first got here, the connections I built, and just everything that goes into that is definitely worth it. And I'm not even at the end yet, but I just feel from where I started, I'm just so much better in a much better place, a much better person, and everything like that. So it's awesome.
Sold me. Thank you.
Pete, Matt Hurst.
Ray, where have you guys on defense made the most progress over the first 3 games?
I would say maybe something that maybe fans don't see as much, but we definitely see because we break it down in the meeting room every day, is our effort. I would say the first game or two, it wasn't really where it needs to be. Like, it was good, but it wasn't the elite that we talk about. So we definitely taking that personally, especially at practice, and that's something that has improved a lot.
Obviously, you would never call out other players, but just in general, is that something that as a team was surprising to you? Because especially for a guy like yourself, you played a lot of snaps here. You know what kind of effort that it takes. Was that disappointing maybe in some ways?
I mean, I would definitely say so. But at the same time, we seen what was going on, and we got it fixed. We got to practice. We talked about it. We had the meetings, I would say, with players only, and we got it fixed. We got it straight. So that's good. Obviously, in addition to a really good quarterback, what other challenges do you see from this offense, which really looks like it's made a lot of progress? You look at each game, they're a team that's improved greatly from game 1 to game 4. What challenges do you see out there for you guys coming up Saturday? Yeah, so I mean, in addition to the quarterback, they have a good set of running backs. They have good receivers. So it's really overall a very good offense, a very athletic offense. So I mean, that in itself will be a challenge, but it's definitely a challenge that we'll be looking forward to and we'll be ready for. So appreciate you, sir. We'll see you Saturday. Thank you.
Thanks.
Ray, I saw that your younger brother is committed to Penn State. What is some of the advice? Maybe I'm sure you're a mentor for him. What is some of the advice you may give him as he heads into college football?
So really my biggest thing is about that I talk to him about is work ethic. Because like I said, like coming from high school, you really don't expect it, and then boom, like everything is just different. It's changed, and I just try to talk to him about just working hard and staying humble, because at the end of the day, as long as you work hard, you can give people confidence and stuff like that. But I mean, nobody's really going to want to put their name behind or put somebody on the field who doesn't work hard, who's lazy and stuff like that. So just trying to get those little values instilled in him so he knows that like college for him, it will be fun, but at the same time, it's going to be business too. Like he's going to have to wake up, grind all day, every day if he wants to accomplish his goals. So just let him know that.
So I see you're kind of, it looks like the Marine Corps garb there. I mean, is that where you're headed down there? Or you probably going Marine Corps?
I think I plan to go Marine ground. So.
Oh, that's good for me.
Anyone have any other questions for Ray? I just got one. Who got the better player, Navy or Penn State?
I'll say Penn State.
I'll say Navy.
Coach, what makes Byram such a special quarterback at such a young age? I think he turns 19 this week. Why is he able to do what he's able to do at such a young age?
I think he's got an amazing skill set. He can run, he can throw. I think he fits their system perfectly, and they really put him in good situations where he can distribute the football to a lot of very good playmakers, really at every level: wide receiver, tight end, running back. They just he seems like a guy that's built for the offense, and the offense is built for him, and they do a great job complementing each other. I've been extremely impressed with him. Right from the get-go, you see the growth that he's had from Western Kentucky till now, and he was good in that game. He was excellent in the Rice game. So we know we got our hands full with him.
When you play a quarterback like this in an offense that plays at a pace like they do, what's the key for the defense to remain in control like you like to be and not just reacting to their pace?
Yeah, we got to get the call, get aligned, get our cleats in the ground, and then go play with great fundamentals, play great fundamental football. It's the same things that you got to do with a normal pace. You just have to do it sped up. You have to do everything a little bit quicker because they're doing everything a little bit quicker.
And does that make your look team that much more important during practice, where they really have to take it up a notch, not only giving the look that the other team does, but also with that speed?
Yeah, we actually just exited a meeting again talking about that. I thought they did an excellent job yesterday out at practice, simulating that tempo for us. We're trying it several different ways. We got a lot of great minds here on staff. I think we're one of the few teams in the country where we have the amount of bodies where you can go a full several groups in terms of full huddles and have multiple guys showing cards and be able to get that simulated for us. And obviously they don't run quite the same way that the guys for USF run or block quite the same way those guys block. But they're giving an excellent effort for us, and expect to have that from this look group for us all week.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Scott.
Joe Miller.
Hey, Coach, when I look at USF, would it be fair to say that they're physical be one of the words that kind of comes to mind on what they want to do running the football?
Yeah, absolutely. I think both the tailbacks are physical. I think the offensive line's physical. I think the quarterback runs with a physical nature as well. He's got himself out of several problem plays by just sheer will and physicality. So I would absolutely think that that's a word that describes this offense. Naquan Wright really has done a great job lowering his shoulder and laying the boom on several would-be tacklers throughout the course of the season. And obviously Alabama has been, the cream of the crop defensively for a long time, and they've got a lot of great players and excellent coaches, and he was a very physical presence in that football game.
The sort of the watching a little bit of them early on in the season, the progress that they've made, and for a first year coach, it seems like really quickly they've kind of taken, especially the last couple of weeks, it seems like they've probably played their best football maybe the last 6 quarters of the season for them.
I would agree with that. I think they just keep getting better and better, and obviously that's a testament to their coaching staff. I thought they were really, really good in week 1 too, to be honest with you. Even better in week 2. Obviously, you go up against a tough team in Alabama, and they more than held their own in that football game. They had a lot of opportunities to win that game, and then obviously exploded this past weekend against Rice. In really a lot of different facets, getting a lot of different people involved. I think their scheme is extremely challenging, and then you couple the scheme with a bunch of really, really good football players that are dynamic with the ball in their hands. I think an offensive line that prides itself on moving people and getting people off the ball. It's a major challenge for us this week, and I know our guys are looking forward to the opportunity for it.
You obviously played last Thursday, a couple more days to get prepared. What has been the main thing that you've tried to focus on with a little bit of extra time here since the Memphis game?
Sure. I think the big thing for us always comes back to fundamentals, and I know I'm boring when everybody asks me that, but that's just what wins and loses football games is for us on our side. It's tackling and block destruction. Obviously, schematically, we've got to be in the right places and understand our fits and our gaps and where we need to be. So it all comes back down to, those things. Our guys being great with their fundamentals and understanding exactly where their fit is in the run game and in the pass game. So whenever you get a chance to get a few more reps, it's just a rep. We talk about it all the time around here. Don't count reps, makes the reps count, and reps are gold, and they're precious to us. So when we go out there at practice and we get an opportunity to have a few more, we got to take advantage of those things.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Bill Wagner.
PJ, so Coach Newberry was talking about one of the things that, his defensive philosophy is that in this day and age, with the way offenses are, with the tempo and the spread and the athletes, and then in this instance, a quarterback who's a dual threat, it kind of puts defenses like literally on the defensive instead of being able to attack, that the offense is dictating, but his thought is to let the defense dictate. So in a game like this with South Florida, a team that's going to go crazy tempo and you can't make substitutions, maybe quarterback who you have to meet, know where he is at all times. Is it still possible for you to turn the tables and dictate to them, or do they really put so much pressure on you that you're just in react mode?
Defensively, our goal is never to be in react mode, and obviously they've got a very, very challenging scheme. They challenge you with the tempo. They challenge you horizontally with the spacing. They challenge you vertically with the skill that they have being able to get down the field. So we've got to be calculated when we do what we do, not put ourselves in harm's way. And we've got to do a great job being disruptive defensively and limiting the explosive plays. And that's really, really what it comes down to, Wags, is we've got to do those things, understand when the time is for us to be able to do those things. And we've got to be extremely efficient with our fundamental, like we talked about before, our fits, our block destruction, our tackling. We've got to be on point with those things. Just like they're not an option offense, but it's a unique offense, like our offense is, in terms of just getting ready to prepare for it.
Coach was saying that one area that's been a big improvement over last year has been the pass defense, particularly not giving up deep plays, the explosive plays. He said he's been pleased that the secondary, has been able to keep the ball in front of them. Why do you think that's the case? And do you think this team will be the first one to really challenge you in that effect?
I think week in and week out, we've gotten challenged with that. I would expect nothing less from these guys than to press us vertically and horizontally, like we just talked about, through a variety of ways. I think Coach Green, Coach Lewis, and all of our corners and safeties have really taken that part of the game on, in terms of we need to improve there. We've improved there drastically, like we talked about in the off season. Those guys just getting on the same page, having the same voice on what they see and how they see, and being in the same meeting room from time to time has helped that. And you've got guys on the back end that have been through those battles, and like we just talked about, reps are gold. They get an opportunity to grow and get a little bit better because they've seen things and been out there. But this certainly will be a challenge this week, and we understand that going into the ball game.
So the ability to keep the ball in front, doing a better job with that, not giving up deep balls, you think it's just plain more experience, guys like Ray and Mbidi having more experience, or has it been have you made some fundamental changes?
Well, I think I would lean on number one, the players, to be honest with you, Wags. Just those guys understanding the coverages better, understanding where the holes in the coverages are, what the issues are, where they may be attacked from. And I think just everybody on the back end collectively being in the same page has been the biggest thing. That's probably where our errors occurred last year. Weren't always technical errors. It was just not every single one, but a lot of them were us just not quite being on the same page from time to time. And I think we've got that fixed.
Thanks.
Thank you. Gary Lambert.
Hey, PJ. Nice to talk with you.
Hey, Gary. Likewise.
So I'm doing a piece on Will Harbor, and I'd like you to start by just getting into the stuff he has to confront week after week, and the games just get tougher playing against this league. 6 foot, 225, not the fastest guy, typical Navy guy. I mean, what is all the chaos? It describes some of the chaos, making the calls, etc., that he manages, and kind of makes it look easy a lot. Just the way he moves, the calls he makes, and so forth.
Well, I think Will and I had a long conversation in November last season, and I think the thing that stuck out to me was that's when the game finally started to slow down for him. And you see that from a lot of young players. You're excited to get out there. You're excited to put your mark on the football program and the team and get your opportunity. And sometimes all that excitement and anxiousness translates into anxiousness and hurriness when you're playing the game of football. And I think collectively he was able to start to see the game in a much slower pace and not be in a rush to make a call, and understanding the tempo of the football game. So I think it's just once you get out there and you get more and more comfortable with the pace of the football game, how it moves around, understanding what you're going to get. And Will watches a ton of film. Like he finds a way where it's really challenging to watch film around here. The guys just don't get the amount of time. We don't get the amount of time with the guys that a lot of other people get. He finds time on his own to jump on DV Sport 360 and watch the film, and I'll get questions from him, text messages almost daily about, hey, coach, I saw this play. What if we were in this right here? How's that gonna? How do you want me to call that? How do you want me to fit that? He's excellent in terms of those. So, the call comes into him. He's got to make several adjustments based on offensive structure, and he's able to communicate those things crisply and cleanly to the entire defensive front and to the back end, and just does an excellent job with those things. He's a really cool customer when it comes to that stuff, and I think that just sort of transpires to the rest of the defense.
So the shoulder injury from a couple of years ago that obviously, messed up what was a good thing brewing for him, playing outside and then eventually inside and all that. How much did that hinder just naturally, because he had to focus so much on getting better, getting well, really zoning in on everything he's doing every day to do that. And he's not playing football. He's not getting, the spring reps the next year and so forth. How much does that go hand in hand with, maybe it took him a little while, but he was one of those guys that's probably going to get it?
Yeah, I think whenever you don't get an opportunity to practice, it's hard to get better. And just like I don't care who you are, like you have to practice in order to improve. And when you're taken out and you don't have an opportunity to go out there and work on your craft, it does, to use your word, it does hinder it at times. And I think the thing that sticks out to me with Will is that he never shied away from work or rehab or studying film to just try to sharpen his mind mentally to be able to get out there. I would expect that had he not got banged up his sophomore year, by the middle of his sophomore year, the game would have slowed down for him, and really started to come along at a little bit faster pace in terms of those things. But he's been through some battles here at the academy, much like a lot of these guys have, and he just picks himself up, dusts himself off, and comes back to work even harder than he did the day before. And I think that's what makes Will is that he is resilient. He's extremely tough. I don't know if he's had a bad day. You can't tell by his face or his demeanor or anything like that. Like, he is as positive a person, leader, and influence as I've been around. And we'd love to have 1,000 of them.
Yeah, and that's a place like Navy. They all say it, like, you gotta keep your chin up. It's hard, for the typical to not have one of those days, or maybe a few of those days that you're talking about where you're just drowning in something. I hear all about his positivity from teammates and some of the other guys on your staff that, and you just repeated it without being asked. I mean, it's real that does he exude it? Do other guys feed off of that, his positive nature?
He's been like that from day one, and the guys respond to him. Like his freshman year, he had a couple things go on. He didn't practice until
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was. I mean, he wouldn't even been practicing right now.
Right.
And I think he didn't practice till late September, early October his freshman year, and he was out there at practice, not feeling sorry for himself or anything like that. Just out there trying to learn, trying to get better, trying to improve. He would seek out other guys. I think that was probably the thing that stuck out to me, is how intentional his leadership is that he would go, like, this is a guy that came here for a lot of reasons, football being a major one of them. You get football taken away from you. You can't practice. You can't do all those things. Well, he's going in plebe summer and in the start of fall camp and into the season, and going and checking on other guys on the football team, popping in their rooms, going from company to company and checking on classmates and making sure they're doing all right. So I think just to have the wherewithal and the thought process and the intentionality to do that as a true freshman at the Naval Academy is extremely impressive.
Always a pleasure, PJ. Thanks you.
Likewise. Thanks, Gary.
Pete Medhurst.
PJ, athletes in space. That's what you're going to see this week. what kind of a challenge does that prevent, especially when you have to account for that 11th guy because he can be so dangerous?
It's always a challenge, and these guys do a great job with it. You know, I mentioned it before, just the horizontal stretch, the vertical stretch. You got a quarterback that can run. You got tailbacks that are physical, that can get downhill, they can get to the perimeter. They have a multitude of weapons and ways to attack you defensively. So it is an exceptional challenge for us this weekend.
Joe and I talk about this all the time. One of the kind of the misnomers about Heupel's offense is it's always been willing to run the ball, particularly in games. If it's working, they will stay with it. Have you seen, 4 games in, I don't know if trends really develop, but are you seeing similar traits from the Heupel offense where he came from that they're utilizing here through 4 games?
I mean, these guys, they definitely want, I think they really strive for attacking you with whatever you're going to give them and trying to find a hole in whatever you're doing defensively and go from there. And you look at them, I mean, they average over 200 yards a game rushing. I think they're 25th in the country there. They're 230 yards passing, over 400 yards of offense. So I think that speaks of their balance right there. And I think if defensively, if you allowed them to run the ball every play, he probably would. And if you allowed them to pass the ball every play, they probably would. And they have built-in ways in really all their calls to get the ball where you're weak at defensively. And it's a challenge for us, and we've got to do a great job schematically and fundamentally to limit those explosive plays, keep the ball inside and in front, and get them on the ground in space.
Take us inside coaching for a moment, in-game coaching, in the moment coaching. We saw a situation this week where a team in 2 of the most important plays of the game only had 10 players on the field. As a coach and a staff, what do you all do to try and cover every little detail as you call out a package? Certain personnel goes with that package to make sure that the right people are coming on the right field, to make sure you don't have too many people on the field. And in this case, obviously not enough people on the field.
Yeah, I think, you have to be organized with your eyes. And we've got guys on staff that they have specific things in the box, specific things on the sideline that you're responsible for. And I learned, Coach Yokitis and I were talking about it a few weeks ago, with just some of the younger coaches we have on staff. Like, you're not there to watch the game. Like, and as a young coach, you can have that tendency when you get in those, we all love football, and you can have a tendency to watch the game, and you really have to be disciplined with your eyes to focus on what your job is, what your key is as a coaching staff, and make sure that you're able to then articulate that information, and then we're able to disseminate it as a staff and go from there. So everybody's sort of got a little piece of the puzzle, just like the players that you're responsible for. We hold each other accountable for that, and go from there. And it's tough at times because I love watching our offense operate, but I do not see a snap of the offense during the course of a football game. And that doesn't matter if I was in the box or on the sideline or anything like that. Really haven't seen anything unless it's on replay and you guys calling out some good stuff for us.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Pete.
About 7 minutes left. Scott Wyckoff, 2 questions.
Coach, what is it about Biscuit's game that's made him such an important part of this team?
Jeez. I don't know what you couldn't say about him. I've been really impressed with him, his growth, personality-wise, off the field. initially when he got here, he's a guy that probably wouldn't speak, even if spoken to. And he's just been a guy that's just really grown. And, I mentioned it to the guys at ESPN last week or 2 weeks ago, excuse me, is that when, he's the smallest guy in the room, but when he speaks, everybody perks up and listens. You got a bunch of big D linemen in there, and they listen to him, and he's taking command of that room. And I think the reason why they listen to him is, number one, he cares about everybody else in that room. And number two, his work ethic and attention to detail is outstanding. And then those two things have enabled him to be extremely productive when he gets on the football field.
And is it sometimes remarkable what he's able to do against the size players that he plays against on a daily basis?
Absolutely. I think, he probably was written off at some point early in his career and said, hey, you got to, get to 280 pounds. You got to do this, you got to do that. Well, shoot, he's best when he can move around. Now he knows he's got to be at a certain weight and he can't get below that, but his speed, his quickness, his elusiveness, we like to say, we talk about it in the linebacker room too. Some of those guys, have built-in leverage. So we like to take advantage of that built-in leverage that we have. But he's been nothing short of remarkable. I think Coach Hall just does an amazing job with that group in general, but specifically with Biscuit. And I think their relationship has enabled that growth on and off the field for him.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Scott.
Joe Miller, 2.
I just got one more. I wanted to ask about Justin Reed. I mean, his motor never seems to stop. I mean, he seems when he's even out of plays, he's still trying to make a play. What sort of talk a little bit about him as a player and what you see out there and sort of what he brings to your defense?
Oh, man. Jay Reed, he's just he's a technician. He plays extremely hard, and he's like a I don't want to say a tree stump because he's bigger than a tree stump, but like you can't move. He's just really hard to move. I think really sticking out to me, coach of linebackers, and I was working on special teams. His freshman year, he gets out there on kickoff return. I mean, and he's like running into a telephone pole on kickoff return. Like, I mean, you just see guys come flying downfield. They got 50-yard head start on them, and they hit him, and they just bounce right off of them. And you're like, and he's just sitting there sort of waiting on them, and you're thinking he's going to catch it. But I tell you, it's like running into a daggone brick wall. Just really impressed with him. I know he's excited about his opportunity here and his growth. And we're really excited about him and seeing him explode and really come onto the scene even more.
Thanks, Coach.
We've got 3 minutes. Wags, give it your best 1 or 2 questions.
Well, one question, PJ. One issue has been tackling, and one I saw that Navy ranks very low in the NCAA in yards after contact. That's kind of surprising. It's not been an issue in the past. What do you got to do to fix that?
Yeah, we've got to leverage the football and tackle better. When you give up 138 yards on 2 plays in the last football game with missed tackles, probably are plays that really should have been, less than 3 yards. When it comes down to it, when we get guys on the ground, we had opportunities to do that. We mentioned it last time when we spoke. Is the missed tackles happen throughout the course of a game. We understand that we've got to limit those, but the wrong tackles cannot. Where we pride ourselves on pursuing to the football, getting 11 gold helmets there, and when we lose leverage on the football, we lose the integrity of the defense. It makes it really challenging for us, and we have to eliminate that. We have to We have to make sure that we edge the football, keep leverage on the football, and then continue to play at a really high pace in terms of those things. So that's been a major emphasis for us, and will continue to be defensively, and in coaching, you generally get what you emphasize. That's got to be an emphasis for us, and it will continue to be.